A few days ago, Tony Khan put the announcement out that he would have an important announcement on Dynamite tonight. Not the first time that Tony Khan has promoted a big announcement for an episode of AEW Dynamite. And we probably should have learned our lesson, in the past. Sometimes he is prone to hyperbole when it comes to these announcements. But they had the graphics up on social media. They mentioned it on television the other night. And so tonight, we're watching the show, and they pitch it to the back. And there's Nigel McGuinness standing with Tony Khan. And I said to myself, well, unless Nigel is about to announce his return to the ring, this is probably not going to be the announcement that most people were hoping for. I had no expectations coming into what this was going to be. I had no idea what he was going to announce. So I just came into this saying, okay, well, we'll see. Maybe he's got something big to announce. They just announced the new pay-per-view, right? Last week. So they go to the back. I'm just skipping ahead to this part because I don't feel like waiting. But Tony Khan is in the back, and he's putting over their UK debut at Wembley Stadium back in August, the biggest audience they've ever had, and the biggest wrestling audience at Wembley, and right, it was a big accomplishment for AEW to go over to the UK for the very first time and do what they did, right? So he's tooting his own horn. And he's talking about this, and he's putting over the fact that next year's show is going to be back at Wembley, August 25th, 2024, which we already knew, right? That's not the announcement. We already knew that already. Then he starts talking about the holidays, and he says, Christmas trees are going up all over the place. And now I'm thinking, well, they just announced the pay-per-view for the end of December. So maybe, even though it's 5 days after Christmas, maybe it's some kind of big announcement for World's End. He's going to talk about some special main event or something tied in with that. He's talking about how Christmas trees are going up all over the world. Hey, my parents have had their Christmas tree up since January. But the big announcement was for the announcement that AEW is putting tickets on sale for next year's All In on Friday, December 1st. That was the announcement. Next year's All In tickets are going on sale in 1 month's time. And if you want to get in early, you can get in and sign up for pre-sale registration. And they gave the website here. Hey, if you want to go to the website, I'll give it to you right now. You can go sign up right now. Ticketmaster.co.uk/AEW Wembley 2024. Let me make sure I got that right. Ticketmaster.co.uk/AEW Wembley 2024. If the boy who cried wolf was a real-life person and could take human form, it would be Tony Khan. This was fucking lame. This was the very definition of, this could have been an email. Or in the case of Tony Khan, this could have been a tweet. But instead, again, they hyped it up. They put graphics together. They announced it on television. You're not going to want to miss it. And what it ended up being, let's just call it what it is. Let's call it what it always is. This was no different. It was a ratings stunt. That's all it was. It was a ratings ploy. You want to get people talking. You want to get people to tune into your show. And it was a ratings stunt, only it was very embarrassing because it was so transparent. And look, if you're going to do a ratings stunt, that's fine. Hey, go for it. But at least make it worthwhile. This was just a ratings stunt for the sake of doing a ratings stunt. It was fucking lame. And rightfully, of course, people were posting all kinds of messages on my page, torching it, and they couldn't believe it. But that's what it was. And it's embarrassing because he does these things. And again, people are going to want to go to All In. That's great. You can easily go ahead and announce that. You can announce that on social media and then come on the air tonight and have your announcers. Hey, earlier today, Tony Khan made the announcement that tickets for All In 2024 are going on sale. Here's where you can go. Get in early, right? Nothing wrong with that. But I just don't understand the logic behind it because last week, we're watching Dynamite. And almost casually, the announcers, I think Tony Schiavone just sort of stuck it in there that, oh, by the way, we have a new pay-per-view that we're adding to the lineup here in 2023. And on December 30th, we're coming to the Nassau Coliseum for World's End. It was almost like an afterthought. You would think that that would be worthy of being an announcement. They just kind of threw that out there, but this they built up for days. So, of course, rightfully, people are going to torch them for it, and deservedly so. Because it's embarrassing. Yeah, you look at the other announcements that Tony Khan has made. It's to the point of parody now. And that's what it is. It's a parody. So he makes these announcements. He's announced the acquisition, the purchase of Ring of Honor, which, to be fair, sounded like a pretty big deal at the time. Now, you could argue whether or not, in hindsight, was it really that big of a deal? Well, it probably got people more jobs that wouldn't exist if Ring of Honor didn't exist. So I'll give him that. Him buying Ring of Honor, that's a big announcement. But he's also announced the TBS Championship and the conversion of the All-Atlantic title to the International title and the All-Access reality show. The first Forbidden Door, remember when he came out there with Adam Cole? That was a big deal, right? A partnership between the two promotions. Very hit or miss when it comes to these major announcements. So again, I had no idea what it was going to be. It's not like I came into this thinking it's going to be this or it's going to be that. But every single time you have one of these announcements, what is the number one thing that you see people online talking about and getting excited about? A streaming deal with Max. Now, I didn't think, and I'm not talking MJF, okay? Now, I'm not saying that I thought that's what it was going to be. At this point, people have been talking about that for a year. And I do think eventually it will happen. It probably will happen at some point next year. But at this point, you know what? I don't even think about it because every single time somebody says, oh, it's going to be streaming on Max, guess what? It's not streaming on Max. So you're going to have people who are very disappointed in that. I wasn't even expecting that, to be perfectly honest with you. So that didn't really bother me. But people's expectations are going to be sky high. Is it some kind of new acquisition? Is it a big free agent signing? Is it another partnership? Like the one they have with New Japan. Now they have some sort of working relationship with CMLL. Again, you already have this event you've announced for December 30th. Is it something tied into that? And then it's not. And so what do you expect? What kind of reaction do you expect that you're going to get? So good for the people who are upset and want to shit on Tony Khan and AEW for it. Go ahead. Because he deserves it. It's fucking lame. That was the big announcement tonight, for those of you who were wondering. Wasn't going to make you wait. Now, as far as the show tonight is concerned, they did have a show-long storyline, so I'll give them credit for this. They had a storyline that opened the show, and it carried us all the way to the end of the show. And that's never a bad thing. When you have a story that threads throughout the entire show. Those tend to be some of their better shows. I would not call this one of the better episodes of Dynamite, but I do at least like the fact that they had a story, and they weaved it in throughout the entire show. And that story was MJF looking for tag team partners to take on Jay White and Bullet Club Gold in the main event of tonight's show. And the problem is MJF is a dick. He has no friends. Everybody hates him. He's alienated everybody. So he was struggling to go around finding people to tag with. And he would go from door to door. Some doors he opened, other doors he thought better of it. He didn't have anybody to tag with him, but all night long, Max Caster and the Acclaimed were making their pitch to be MJF's tag team partners, and he kept swearing them off under no circumstances. No way. I'm not teaming with you. Fuck off. Leave me alone. So, of course, in the end, what happened? He teamed with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. Not only did he tag with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn against Bullet Club Gold, but MJF took the pin. The AEW World Champion got pinned clean, or as clean as you could possibly expect. Cleaner than I would have expected. I'm not saying there wasn't some shenanigans during the match, but he pinned him in the middle of the ring. Now that is something that a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to have some thoughts about and be upset about. And in a lot of circumstances, I would be one of those people. But I'll tell you why that doesn't bother me so much. It doesn't bother me so much. First of all, we already know the match for Full Gear is MJF against Jay White. And so the match is made. Jay White is getting a shot at the AEW World Championship. Because my whole thing is, if you're going to beat the champion on TV, well, first of all, you shouldn't be beating the champion on TV, right? And I still feel that way. But I'm not going to shit on them for that too much, because what it does is it establishes Jay White as a threat. He pinned MJF in the middle of the ring, and he did it with the Blade Runner. So now, not only does it establish him as a threat, it establishes the Blade Runner as a threat. Where if he drops him with it in their match at Full Gear, it could be all over. We could have a new world champion. So they're trying to take this challenger, and they're trying to elevate him into a position of credibility where you actually believe he may have a shot at beating this guy and becoming the world champion. So to that end, I didn't mind it so much. If it were up to me, I would never be, as a matter of course, beating the world champion in the middle of the ring like that, but at least it is leading to something at Full Gear. And also, MJF was looking for partners all night long and couldn't find anybody, so he had to settle, right? So again, you can look at it a few different ways. If you didn't like that outcome, I don't fault you for that, but I know what they were trying to do. And to me, it didn't bother me that much. What bothered me is the fact that when this show was over, it felt like one of the more uneventful episodes of Dynamite, and it just wasn't exciting. There just wasn't really a real vibe or energy to the show tonight. It was missing something. And there were things that happened. They set 3 new matches up for Full Gear. It wasn't as if there weren't, it wasn't news that was broken. We have Orange Cassidy is going to defend the international title against Jon Moxley. Hangman Page is going to go one-on-one in a rematch with Swerve Strickland. And we also know that Adam Copeland is going to team with Sting and Darby Allin to take on Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. So those matches are now official for Full Gear. And we knew those matches were going to be official for... There's no surprises there, right? Those were all the matches that we expected to be made for the pay-per-view. The other thing that happened tonight is Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, after their match, were confronted in the aisleway by the Don Callis family. We already got a tease on the show last week that Chris Jericho was going to make a phone call to a big friend of his. And I said last week when we were here on the review, I said it's either going to be Paul White and or Mark Henry. Because they're both big and they're both under contract to AEW. In the case of Mark Henry, they were talking about World's Strongest Slam when Hobbs gave him the World's Strongest Slam. That's what made me think of Mark Henry. But I was thinking Paul White. Paul White has wanted to get back in the ring for a while. The problem with the Big Show is that he's in a rough way right now because he's had numerous hip surgeries. He walked out there tonight to be revealed as Jericho and Omega, one of Jericho and Omega's tag partners. Is also going to be Kota Ibushi. What a combo that's going to be. Kota Ibushi and the Big Show. Big Show walks out. He's got his legs braced up. He stands on stage. He's in his singlet. He's in his gear. Kyle Fletcher had to come to him. And it looked like if you just gently tapped him, he would have tipped over. He did not look very mobile at all. He didn't look like somebody who probably should be in the ring. So I don't know exactly what his current condition is, but it looks like he ain't going to be doing much when they have this match. That match, by the way, is not a pay-per-view match. They're doing that on Dynamite a few days before Full Gear. But Paul White, the predictable partner, seeing him out there, though, he didn't look great. So I don't know how that's going to go. And when this show was over, again, it felt like, this is one of the more mid episodes of Dynamite that I have seen all year long. That's really what it felt like to me. And again, the Tony Khan thing I thought was just a cheap rating stunt. That's all it was. And it was embarrassing, quite frankly. But we'll talk about this entire show tonight. AEW Dynamite review. I'm the Solomonster. It is Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. So it is a brand new month. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button as well. We had a very interesting Be the Booker at the end of our Raw review on Monday. If you missed it, it's worth going back to check out, because I don't know that we'll ever be able to pull that off again. Hopefully not. If we hit 400 likes here on the stream, we will do another one later on. So please go ahead and hit that like button. Super chats are open as well. And shout out to Justin G with the gifted membership before I went live tonight. Justin, thank you very much. Dynamite opened with a rare recap of the events of last week's main event. We had Bryan Danielson and Claudio against Okada and Orange Cassidy. And this was unusual because normally we don't see this at the beginning of Dynamite. We get a cold open or we get the usual video intro. So we actually got a recap of what happened at the end of last week's show. And for those who don't know, you did not see the news, Bryan Danielson did actually get hurt. Now, there's some debate about exactly when he got hurt. He has a fractured orbital bone in his face. If he has not already had surgery, Tony Schiavone did say that he is going to be having surgery, and he's going to be out for the rest of the year. Now, the rest of the year leads directly into the Tokyo Dome, January 4th. And so if they had any plans on Danielson wrestling Okada or anybody else at Wrestle Kingdom, I mean, they're cutting it awfully close if you've got a fractured orbital bone. I don't know. Again, they could always throw a mask on him, I guess. But there is some debate about when the injury happened. There's talk that it may have actually happened on Collision, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, in the singles match that Danielson had with Andrade El Idolo. Which, if that's the case, I don't know why Danielson would have been medically cleared to be in that tag team match on Dynamite last week. Again, it's not like he was wearing some kind of face mask or anything like that. If it's serious enough that he needs surgery and he's going to be out until the end of the year, then why the fuck was he wrestling on last week's show? So obviously it's a serious enough injury, and I didn't even notice coming into the match last week, he already had a black eye. So it looks like the injury probably did happen the week before. But that is the update on Bryan Danielson. Otherwise, he was not mentioned at all on the show. Really, he wasn't mentioned at all on the show tonight. I'm just giving you the update because they showed the highlights from last week's main event. But as far as the opening match here, we opened with Renee in the back, not a match. She was in the back with MJF. Now, by the way, the longest reigning AEW World Champion of all time, MJF, and Kenny Omega had one of the best matches of the year on Collision. It's a shame that more people didn't see it. But they had an incredible match. I liked that match quite a bit on Collision on Saturday. Renee asked MJF about still needing to find 3 partners for the main event on tonight's show to take on Bullet Club Gold, despite having made a lot of enemies. And MJF had a clipboard in his hand. He said that he made a list of the AEW roster, and he wants to find 3 people who are not a-holes. But first, he pitches it to the screen, and on the screen, I guess he was zooming. I guess it was Zoom or Skype, whatever it was. Adam Cole, who is growing out his beard. I don't know if you would call that a heel beard, but he is growing out his beard. A little bit of gray in there. He was Skyping in or Zooming in from his home. He congratulated MJF on being the longest reigning AEW champion ever. Says that he should entertain Samoa Joe's offer to be his partner and help him out. And MJF wasn't sure about that, but then he said, look, I got to go find myself some partners. And he left Adam Cole on the screen, and he walked off, and then almost immediately in walks Roderick Strong in the Kingdom. Well, Roddy was rolling in. The Kingdom was walking in. And Roddy said, hey, Adam, he goes, it was rude of Max to leave you hanging like that in mid-conversation. And he asked if Cole really believed that MJF was not the one in the devil mask. And Cole, at that point, disconnected his feed before he could answer. And the screen then cut to the person, wherever they are, in the devil mask, who stared into the camera, and then they quickly cut away. And then we went into the typical video intro here for Dynamite. Very good point, by the way. Uffman makes a very good point in the chat. It is No Shave November. Which, of course, I didn't realize that. That's why I already shaved. So I guess I've already broken the code. I forgot that it's No Shave November. Is that still a thing? I guess it is. Maybe that's why Adam Cole is growing out the rat's nest on his face. So the opening match was Orange Cassidy defending his international championship, as he has many times on this show this year in the opening match. This time it was against Claudio Castagnoli. Match spilled over to ringside. Claudio pressed him over his head, dropped him on the barricade, right on his, it looked like his shoulder, his elbow. Cassidy came up selling his elbow. Wheeler Yuta was out there. He's standing over Cassidy. He's taunting him. So now Hook walks out, and referee Bryce Remsburg ends up ejecting Yuta and Hook from ringside. Back inside, Cassidy very briefly escaped a superplex attempt, but Claudio just pulled him back up by his head. And right back in position, he had a stalling superplex. That took us into the picture-in-picture. Claudio's freak strength will never not be impressive to me. So it was all Claudio during the commercial. And we see that in the back, Hook and Wheeler Yuta are getting into it, and they have to be separated. And Hook shoves Pat Buck, who is one of the AEW officials. And Excalibur said that this got Hook ejected from the building, and there could be other potential penalties for him, including a possible suspension. Keep that in mind. I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Cassidy managed to hit his diving DDT to the floor. In doing so, though, he sold his back because he's all beat up. He's selling his back. He's selling his elbow. So it kind of reminded me of that idiot Seth Rollins on Monday night when he hit this giant avalanche back suplex to JD McDonough with a supposedly broken back. And then he sells the back. Oh, my back. My back, brother, my back. Wrestlers aren't too bright, I guess. So Cassidy now is selling his back. In the ring, Cassidy hit the Stun Dog Millionaire, but when Cassidy went for his Tornado DDT, this was great. So he's doing the whole tilt-a-whirl thing. He's going for the Tornado DDT. And Claudio had this great, smooth transition into a giant. It was so seamless. Right into a giant swing. I love that spot. That was a great transition. I even rewound it, watched it back again. Claudio then got a sharpshooter. Cassidy, though, shifted his weight to escape. So Claudio transitioned into a crossface. Cassidy rolled into a pin attempt for 2. Claudio, though, clobbered him with an uppercut. And Claudio wanted the neutralizer. But Cassidy just collapsed to the mat. He pulled the Bret Hart at Survivor Series against Diesel, where he went for the power bomb, right? But Bret collapsed, but he was only playing possum, as Orange Cassidy was doing here. He tried for another stun dog. This time, though, Claudio countered into a sleeper while he was swinging him around. Cassidy faded, but then he put his hands in his pockets. I guess this is some kind of superpower for him. Put his hands in his pockets, and he did the Bret Hart push off the top turnbuckle with your feet spot and went backwards into a pin attempt. Claudio kicked out. Connected with the orange punch. Connected with the beach break. Claudio, though, wisely, after the beach break, he slowly rolls to the outside. And then he barely made it back into the ring before the 9 count. Cassidy missed an orange punch. Claudio missed a Rainmaker, which allowed Cassidy to hit a Tornado DDT. Claudio almost hit a pop-up uppercut, but Cassidy basically kind of stood on his chest, and then he turned it into a Rana, and he hooked the legs, and he pinned Claudio with his hands in his pocket. He got the flash pin. So Cassidy rolls outside after the match, nursing his injuries. Doesn't get much time to celebrate. We hear Jon Moxley's music, and here comes Moxley. He's in his street clothes. He's coming out through the crowd, and he joins Claudio in the ring. And so what does Cassidy do? He says, I'm going to go after this fucker. And he goes into the ring. He charges at Moxley, and he ends up getting beaten down. And security guards hit the ring, and the security guards are promptly beaten up by the Blackpool Combat Club. Moxley puts his hands on the security guards. Claudio puts his hands and just manhandles the security guards. And in the end, Moxley ends up storming to the back. It's a very good opener. And I love that transition into the giant swing. That was just seamless. Cassidy had a whole string of very good matches during that first run that he had as the international champion. So it's no surprise, he would have another one here on this show. Claudio always has, very good matches. That's not a surprise either. But there's one logic gap. So I mentioned earlier in the back when Hook and Yuta were being separated, Excalibur made the comment that Hook put his hands on Pat Buck and that he might get suspended potentially for it. Well, then here you have both members of the Blackpool Combat Club manhandling security guards. So how do you explain that? In the same segment, no less. I didn't hear Excalibur talking about potential suspensions for either one of them. Is it because Pat Buck is an official AEW employee, so that makes it a different situation? I mean, it's just one of those logic gaps. You know, in the grand scheme, it's a minor thing, but it's really not. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Why would they be threatening Hook with suspension and not these two for what they did? So to the back we go. MJF is standing outside Kenny Omega's dressing room, and he knocks on the door, and Chris Jericho answers. And I was about to say, you know, boy, he looks like he aged about 10 years from what we saw on Saturday to what we saw here. But it was Chris Jericho. It was not Omega. And MJF asked if Kenny was there, and Jericho just smiled at him and slammed the door in his face. So a pissed off MJF starts to walk off when Wardlow grabs him. At least I think it was Wardlow. They never actually showed a shot of his face. His back was turned the entire time. But it was Wardlow. And he grabs MJF and he throws him up against the wall. And he tells him, "You took everything from me. Now I'm going to take everything from you when you least expect it." And then he stormed off. It sounds like when the time comes that MJF loses that championship, Wardlow is going to have something to do with it. Now, is that going to be at Full Gear? I don't think so. Could it be at World's End? Out on Long Island at the Nassau Coliseum? Very possible. I think it's very possible MJF could drop the belt there. He may not make it into 2024 as the champion. But it sounds like whenever it is, Wardlow's going to factor into that in some way, or at least try to. Now, as far as the Devil Mask stuff, we know it's not Wardlow because the guy is way too small. The devil, that is. So an angry MJF, now he's really angry, and he storms off, and he runs into the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. They were hiding behind a wall. They were hiding behind a corner. You see two fingers come out for the scissoring, and it's Max Caster. And Caster wanted to scissor him, and he wanted to be his partner in the main event. MJF just walked off, and Anthony Bowens was pissed that Caster made them hide behind a wall for no reason at all. We come back, and Jon Moxley is in the back, and he's heated, and he's cutting a promo ranting about Orange Cassidy. He said Rey Fenix sacrificed his body just to put him down for 3 seconds. Moxley implied that he should have had the first shot at that title, and he said that he's not doing good. Maybe Cassidy is just the wrong guy at the wrong place at the wrong time, but at Full Gear, he's going to win his title back, and he is going to beat Cassidy within an inch of his life. So there you go. The match is now confirmed. That was the first official announcement that we are getting Cassidy Moxley Part 2 at Full Gear for the title. Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony against Hangman Page and the Young Bucks for the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles. We just had a segment in the back with the Acclaimed. The Acclaimed are the AEW Trios champions right now. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. I just don't understand why we need 2 sets of Trios belts on this show. I just don't understand it. They're Ring of Honor titles. We occasionally see Ring of Honor titles defended on AEW television. But why do we have 2 sets of 6-man tag team champions on the same show? Now, what they did here in this match, they did a title change, was an angle to set up for a breakdown within the Elite. So it led to something, but I don't need to see the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team world titles on Dynamite when we have AEW Trios belts. Keep that shit in Ring of Honor. We don't need that on AEW television. I just don't understand it. All it does is it marginalizes the set of belts you already have. We don't need 2 sets of Trios titles on the same show. So Hangman was relentless early on against the members of the Mogul Embassy because he's obviously very pissed off after Swerve Strickland invaded his home last week. His family was there, and he invaded the man's home. Or at least I think the idea was his family was there. So obviously he's a little bit upset. The Bucks made the save when numbers became too much for Hangman, so they made the save. All three of them hit a trifecta of slingshot dives to the floor. So the Embassy controlled things during the commercial. Paige made a comeback when things came back on TV. Right when Hangman was looking for a buckshot, we hear over the PA system, we can hear Swerve's voice going, "Whose house? Whose house?" And there he is. He walks out on stage with Prince Nana. And he says, actually, last week, he was at Hangman's house. And Paige tagged in Nick Jackson, and then Hangman sprinted on after Swerve and Prince Nana, which left the Bucks all by themselves here in a handicap match. Brian Cage hit a suplex from the apron into the ring. Matt Jackson was overwhelmed, and he got flattened with a double spine buster by the Gates of Agony. Nick Jackson got dropped with an assisted triple power bomb and a double face buster. And Cone pinned Nick to regain the belts for the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. So we have new Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Champions. I personally don't care. And I'm happy, though, because now hopefully they can keep those belts on Ring of Honor where they belong. But backstage, we see Paige brawling with Swerve Strickland, and they're having to be separated by security. Then we go back to the ring, and Matt Jackson had a meltdown. He started tearing apart the timekeeper's table, and he slammed a chair against the ring post like a man-child, and that took us into the commercial break. Hey, at least he was upset that he actually lost these belts, right? He showed some emotion, right? He was visibly pissed off. The match was actually shorter than I expected it to be, but it was more of an angle, with Hangman going after Swerve. And, a little interesting twist there at the end with Matt Jackson having his little hissy fit. So teasing a rift within the Elite. Now, there would be another segment later in the show to play off of this. But I'll be honest with you, of late, the Elite stuff is just a fucking bore. So I'm happy that they're shooting this angle, and I don't know if it's going to lead to the Bucks going heel again or exactly where this is going to go, but I'm happy they're doing something like this with the Elite, because as things were, it was just fucking boring, and I didn't really give a shit. I mean, I can't say that about Hangman. I am enjoying the Hangman and Swerve Strickland stuff, but this whole the Elite and the Hung Bucks or whatever they're calling themselves, who cares? This at least makes it mildly interesting to me to see where they go. Maybe they'll just split up again and all go their separate ways. I don't know, but at least it's something, right? It's something different, kind of, somewhat. By the way, should mention that there's a big House of Glory match announced. Sean Ross Sapp broke the news earlier. Had a big hog match announced with Swerve Strickland and Speedball Mike Bailey. December 1st. New York City Arena, NYC Arena in Queens. It's going to be a big night. Whose house? House of Glory? It's Swerve's house on December 1st. Can't wait. Yeah, the other good thing about it is if Omega ends up going off on his own, we get more Kenny Omega singles matches. That's another positive here. So backstage, MJF thought about knocking on Samoa Joe's door. His door is right there. It says Samoa Joe on the door. That's how we knew whose door it was. We never actually saw Samoa Joe on the show tonight, though. I don't even know if he was there. He thought about it, and he's like, nah. So he walks off, and then a few feet down, he sees it's Darby Allin's dressing room. So he pulls the sign off the door. He writes something on it. And then he slaps the sign back on the door. And we saw that he scribbled emo bitch on the sign. And he had a nice little laugh. He was proud of himself for that. So I will say that's no way to find a tag team partner. I will say that. Turtlehead wants to know who's calling that match. I'm very much looking forward to calling that match. It's going to be a fun night. A lot of big things planned that night for HOG on December 1st. But that is going to be a big main event up against SmackDown that night at the Barclays Center. One borough over. A lot of wrestling going on in New York that night, but there's only one place you need to be. So as he's turning to walk away from Darby's dressing room, who does he run into? He runs into the Elite. He runs into the Acclaimed. I was just talking about the Elite. He runs into the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn yet again. This time, Max Caster is holding a sign that says, MJF, pick us. Because that worked so well for Mankind back in the day when he was lobbying to be Steve Austin's tag team partner. I guess eventually he was, technically, just not as Mankind. Tony Schiavone was in the ring to introduce the Rated R superstar, Adam Copeland. You know, he's only been here for about a month, right? It's been about 1 month exactly, I think. Since Copeland debuted, he just feels like just another guy. He just feels like just another guy on the roster. So out he comes, though. He got a nice reaction from the crowd. And Schiavone asked him about the segment last week where Copeland was confronted in the back by Sting and Darby about being their partners against Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne at Full Gear. Copeland talked about Sting and said that he and Sting have shared similar injuries in the past, like neck injuries. And over the years, the two of them have been a sounding board for each other. And he has a ton of respect for the man. So if that's true, that would explain Sting's "we go way back" comment from last week. If so, I'm glad they explained it here. So then he put over Darby Allin. He called him the future of the company, but he said that everybody wants answers. What is he going to do? Is he going to team with them? Is he going to be their tag team partner at Full Gear against Christian and his crew? Before he could answer, this brought out Christian Cage. And he said that he's retiring Sting at Full Gear no matter what. And also, we have not seen Darby around much lately, which is not true. He's been on television every week. But we haven't seen much of Darby in the ring, would be a more appropriate way to put it. Because he's got a gimp arm after he dropped him on those stairs at Wrestle Dream. You know, I think back to that spot, you know, when he mentioned that. And I just remember, you could tell that Christian did not want to do that spot. You know, we have the steel steps on the outside. They're on the apron. And the idea was that Christian would pick up Darby and basically just dump like a falcon arrow, like suplex him onto the steps. And the first time Christian went to do it, he kind of stood there with him for like what felt like 10 seconds, and then he just sort of dropped him on the floor. Now, I don't think that was a botch. I just think he was looking down going, I can't drop this fucking guy on these stairs. Like, in good conscience, how can I do this? But then Darby came back up and they redid the spot, and Christian was like, okay, if that's what you want. That's exactly how I think it played out. Because I think even Christian probably looked down and said, this is a terrible, terrible, stupid idea. And Darby insisted, let's do it. So they did. And the fucking guy got hurt. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's how it works. So anyway, he talked about him and his gimpy arm. He says he doesn't think he needs to remind Adam about this. This being his neck problems. And he would hate for this fairy tale of his to turn into a nightmare. So he suggests that Copeland back down from him right now. Or else he's going to snap his neck. He's going to leave him in a wheelchair to live the rest of his life with his kids wiping the drool from his face, saying, Daddy, you used to be somebody. So he sent Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne to the ring to attack, and Copeland fought them off. Christian was then in the ring, and he was trapped in the corner. He was looking up at Copeland, and he was begging off. Luchasaurus, though, clobbered Copeland from behind. Nick Wayne then caught him with a cutter from the middle rope. So Wayne went outside. He slid 2 chairs into the ring. And Christian was setting up for a concerto when Sting's music hit. And he came out in his winter jacket. It's always snowing when Sting comes out. He walks out. He takes out Nick Wayne in the aisle when Wayne came charging after him. Darby sprints right past Sting into the ring, goes immediately after Christian Cage. Copeland took out the dinosaur, And then Copeland catches a glimpse of Christian in the corner, kneeling down, beating up on Darby Allin. And he gets the psycho eyes. And Copeland is in position for a spear, and he's waiting, and he's waiting. And Christian's taking his time turning around. And I didn't think they were actually going to do it. I figured Christian would turn around and see him, and he would quickly duck out of the ring. Or Christian would turn around, and Copeland would have second thoughts. But no, Christian turned around, and Copeland speared him. And then Christian rolled out to the floor, and Copeland took the mic. He was very upset about Christian wanting to snap his neck. And then he told Sting and Darby, you want a partner for Full Gear? You got one. So I actually thought they were going to play things out a little bit longer with this whole angle about Copeland not wanting to fight his friend. And, maybe he would team with them, but he wouldn't want to, put his hands on Christian, or I don't know. I just thought they would drag that aspect of the story out a little bit longer. But him agreeing to be the partner was always the obvious choice. I mean, what else would he be doing at Full Gear if not being their tag team partner, right? He was always going to be their partner. I don't think that was a surprise to anybody. The only question is, does Tony Khan want to keep Sting undefeated until his retirement? Because in the 20 matches that Sting has had in AEW, all tag matches, he has never lost a single match. Every single one of those matches was a win for Sting and Darby, or Sting, Darby, and CM Punk, or whoever their various partners have been over the years. Does he want Sting to retire undefeated in AEW? If so, Sting, Darby, and Copeland, then they have to go over, obviously. Or does Tony Khan decide, Darby can be the weak link. He's got the gimpy arm. He could take the loss. But then it would be a loss for Sting. I think Tony Khan probably wants Sting to retire undefeated in AEW. I think in his mind, that's his way of paying respect to the man. Unless Sting goes to him and says, look, in his final match, he wants to do the honors. We don't even know who he's going to be wrestling at Full Gear or Revolution. God for fucking bid, it turns out to be Ric Flair, who is not on the show tonight, thankfully. We don't need him as a weekly recurring character on the show. You want to trot him out there every now and then. Sting wants him to be there, the day that he has his retirement match. I got no issue with that, right? Flair's been a very big part of Sting's career. You looked genuinely happy to see him on the show last week. I'm sure Ric Flair will be there at Revolution. I was a little worried, though. We were going to have him back on the show this week, and the week after that, and the week after that. Because you just know Flair is looking at this, and Flair is dying to get involved. If they do some sort of six-man tag at Revolution, he's going to want in on that. Keep him as far away from in-ring competition as humanly possible. After this, it was to the back for Tony Khan's major announcement, which I will quickly recap for you here for the people who maybe did not join at the very beginning. You did not miss much. If you want to know what the big announcement was, I'm sure they have it up on their Twitter. There's your big announcement. He was with Nigel McGuinness. He was talking about the success of their All-In show at Wembley Stadium back in August. 81,000 people, or 83,000, or 85,000. I've seen so many different fucking figures for this show. Will Ospreay goes out and has 81,000, I think it was 355, tattooed on his fucking arm. And then the next day he finds out that, well, maybe there weren't 81,000 people. Why would you do that? Why not wait until the final numbers come out, right? And once you know what the actual attendance is, then you can go ahead and tattoo that on your skin. He couldn't wait. He was so proud of it. He was so happy. 72. All right, 72,000. I don't know. 72,000 is one of the numbers that I saw. But then I heard that if you count that the person who runs the agency over there in the UK that was putting out the numbers came back and said 85,000. My guess would be if 85,000 is a number that's being used, it's kind of like WWE when they count every single person in the building, whoever they may be, right? The concession stand people, the security people, the police officers. The legitimate number of people there was likely not 85,000 as far as through the turnstiles. But anyway, we'll all call it 81,000 just to make Will Ospreay feel better. How about that? But the big announcement was that tickets for next year's All In, which is almost a year away, it's August of next year, they go on sale on December 1st. And if you want to get in on the pre-sale, there's a website you can go to, and you can sign up for pre-sale registration. So that was the big announcement. It was a ratings ploy. It will not work. It never works. And this was one of the more embarrassing ones that we have seen from Tony Khan. He has had some legitimately big announcements in the past. This was not one of them. And I wish he would stop with these, Tony Khan has a major announcement. What's it going to be? Because every time he does one of these, people take it less and less and less and less seriously. So please, for the love of God, I know we talk sometimes about Tony Khan and his tweets. This would have been more appropriate in a tweet. And then on television, you can have Tony Schiavone or Excalibur go, hey, Tony Khan made a big announcement earlier today on social media. You can get your tickets now for All In 2024. All you got to do is go to the website on your screen right now. You could sign up. You could be first in line. You want to get your tickets? You want to get that as a gift for somebody? Go to the website. You can buy your ticket. And then you put a little sound effect in there too with the thumbs up and like the ding, like there you go. That's all it needed to be. Cheesy as shit, but that's all it needed to be. But no, that was the big announcement from Tony Khan. There you go. Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho against Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. The Don Callis family with their newest member, Kyle Fletcher. Still no Sammy Guevara. Although I think Ty Conti is probably, isn't she due any week now? I think she's been pregnant for about 9 months, right? I think so. So she might be due any day. See, yeah, that's right. Tony Khan should have gotten me to make the announcement. I could have done it for him. Just like that. Big thumbs up at the end and everything. So they joined commentary for this match. Omega made a hot tag to Jericho after a break. Ran wild before Angelo Parker got locked in the Lion Tamer. Matt Menard tried to cut it off, but he ate a springboard drop kick. Omega connected on a Snapdragon. Jake Hager jumped up on the apron. He ate a V-trigger. And Omega dived. For those of you wondering, he hit a dive as well. So with Aubrey Edwards distracted, Menard clobbered Jericho with the baseball bat, but he kicked out. What is this baseball bat made of, by the way? I believe we have seen Jericho take that baseball bat before, and he's kicked out from it. So he may need a new baseball bat. It doesn't seem to be very effective. Menard then wanted Parker to use the bat. Jericho, though, ducked the shot. He hit the Judas effect, and he got the win. After the match, Callis and his family members, they walked out onto the stage, and they were saying that he's got to give Jericho and Omega credit for being cockroaches and very hard to get rid of. After Takeshita and Will Hobbs destroyed both of them. He said maybe this doesn't get finished in the ring, maybe they finish it in the streets. And Callis challenged Jericho and Omega to a street fight in 2 weeks on Dynamite. That is the final Dynamite before Full Gear. And Callis called both of them dummies. Omega accepted the challenge, but he said, look, we're going to make it a 6-man fight. I'm going to bring in, you got your family. I'm going to bring in one of mine. I'm going to bring in Kota Ibushi. And Ibushi got a nice reaction from the crowd. Because, now we've seen him a few times, and you never know, what kind of reaction he'll get depending on where they are. I think they were in Kentucky, right? They were in Lexington, Kentucky tonight. But his name got a nice reaction from the crowd. But then Callis said, well, you guys are still down a man. So Jericho then brings up this friend that he alluded to on the show last week that he said he was going to pick up the phone and call. And so he says that he's got a friend who's bigger than Powerhouse Hobbs. And he said, Hobbs may be big, but Hobbs is not a giant. And with that, we heard the theme music for one Paul White. I almost disconnected myself there. I had to be careful. I hit the wrong button. I muted myself. I muted myself. There were parts of this show that I wish were muted, by the way. But anyway, he he introduces his giant friend, and out comes Paul White, the Big Show. So the Big Show comes out, and I'm pretty sure, I think the person, now correct me if I'm wrong, but the person who sings his song in AEW, I believe, is the same person who did his WWE music, right? Sounds like the same guy. Yeah, the guy goes, well, it's the Big Slow, and he comes out. So, not the same song, obviously, but he comes out, and he's already in his gear. He's ready to go. He's in his singlet. His legs are all braced up. He's got a brace on one leg, and he's got a big sleeve on the other one. And he kind of motions for Kyle Fletcher. And Fletcher, okay, it is the same guy, yeah. I mean, you can tell just by the voice. It sounds exactly the same. Well, Kyle Fletcher comes charging in, and he hits him with the WMD. Remember that? The world's most dangerous punch. Weapon of mass destruction. And he punches Kyle Fletcher. But Fletcher had to come to him because Paul White was not moving. He was in one pit. It was like his boots were glued to the floor. And I said earlier, if you blew in his direction, if you tapped him with a feather, it looked like he might tip over and fall off the stage. He did not look very steady on his feet. He is a man who has had very bad hip issues in recent years. And the reason we have not seen him in the ring up to this point, now he had one match, I think, right, against QT Marshall. Did he have any other matches in AEW? I remember the singles match against QT Marshall. I don't know if he's had any other matches. But he has had some serious hip problems and hip surgeries, and he's been working hard to come back. And yeah, he did the Captain Insano stuff, but he really wants to get back in the ring. So I hope he's well enough where he can get in the ring and do some stuff. Otherwise, I don't know, why AEW would be putting him in the ring. But it's a tag match. This is going to end up being an 8-man tag, so he won't have to do much. He'll be protected. He can hit the punch. It's not like he's going to leave his feet. So I think he'll be okay. But no, he did not look great here, standing here like this. He looked like his knees and his hips and his entire body has seen better days. But again, I see him come out. It's the Big Show on AEW television. We went through that period of time in WWE with the Authority era, where every fucking week it was Kane and Big Show. Kane and Big Show. I'll never, for the rest of my life, I will never forget the 2015 Royal Rumble. One of the worst fucking Rumbles that company has ever produced. And that garbage ending with Kane and Big Show dumping every single fan favorite. Every single person that the fans actually gave a shit about, dumping them out like garbage one by one. Bray Wyatt, there you go. Dolph Ziggler, there you go. All these different people out of the ring. Kane and Big Show. And I said I want Kane and Big Show to have a quicksand match, that they fall deep into the sand and we never see them ever again. And then they got taken off television and we didn't have to worry about Kane and Big Show anymore. Now many years have gone by. It's not like we see Paul White on television all the time. As a one-off, it's fine. Jericho and Show, they have history together, right? They're former tag team partners. So there is that history. Jericho wants a friend. I get it. It makes sense. But as a one-off, it's fine. But again, I don't know what kind of physical condition he's actually in to do this match. But the Big Show and Kota Ibushi as tag team partners is something I never thought I would live to see, but here we are. Another man, by the way, who's talked about how he's still hurt and not 100%. But Ibushi can still go. Ibushi will be okay. So Renee was in the back to interview Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho in their locker room. You saw the Young Bucks milling around in the background. And Jericho was about to talk about the upcoming match that we just learned about when Matt Jackson cut him off. And Matt said that he didn't want to get over dramatic, or melodramatic, I think he said, because there's been enough of that in this locker room, wink, wink. But what was the point, he said, of the Elite getting back together if they're not going to have each other's backs? And Matt said that his biggest problem, though, was who invited this prick into our locker room? And he was referring to Jericho. And he told Jericho that he never forgot what Jericho did to their father years ago, Papa Buck. I had forgotten about that. And he said that Jericho will screw Omega over just like Don Callis did. Jericho told the Bucks not to take out their frustration over losing the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team belts on him. Omega said that Jericho was with them in their fight against the Callis family, and he told Matt to look at it like this: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And Matt told Omega that Jericho and Callis are cut from the same cloth, and then the Bucks left. So again, at least it adds some intrigue to the Elite stuff, because the Elite stuff has been ice cold recently. It's just hard for me to really care about anything that those guys collectively are doing. And the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team title stuff, I don't give a shit about. Like that, when they won the belts, I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and said, who cares? Who cares? This, at least, is mildly interesting to me. So we'll see where this leads, or if it leads to a Bucks heel turn. Very interesting, because even a few weeks ago, it looked like we were headed for the Bucks and FTR one more time, right? Bucks FTR 4 at Full Gear for the tag team titles. And we had just seen Bucks and FTR 3. I wasn't even sure we really needed to see Bucks and FTR 4. And now FTR are no longer the tag team champions. Supposedly that was an FTR call. You know, Dax Harwood, they wanted to do the honors for Ricky Starks and Big Bill just to kind of shake things up a little bit. They're not injured. It wasn't a punishment of any kind. So now they're no longer the tag team champions. And the Bucks, correct me if I'm wrong, did the Young Bucks not win? It was a 3-way or a 4-way tag team match some weeks ago. Or maybe it was a Wrestle Dream to earn the right to challenge for the AEW World Tag Team titles, or am I just completely imagining this? I could have sworn they did, but here we are now heading into Full Gear, and it's like they've chosen to go in a totally different direction now, where the Bucks potentially could even be going heel. You know, we'll see. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to be doing in Full Gear, but as of right now, it doesn't look like they're going to be challenging for the tag belts, although I guess we have a few weeks left. They could announce a tag team championship match. They are, okay. Yeah, okay. People are saying they are the number one contenders. Well, certainly, I don't think they've mentioned it, but okay. I guess we'll find out. Speaking of championships, though, up next we had Hikaru Shida defending her AEW Women's World Championship against Willow Nightingale. Now, I like Willow Nightingale. I think she's great. I enjoy her work. But here we go again. Another logic gap here on this show. On Rampage on Friday, we had a women's 4-way to crown a number one contender for Shida's AEW Women's World Championship. That person was Abaddon. Willow Nightingale was one of the women in that 4-way, and she lost. Abaddon won. So we had a special Halloween street fight, basically, between Abaddon and Shida on Collision. Shida won. Now, here on Dynamite, Willow gets a title shot anyway. And Willow Nightingale's getting one-on-one with Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's World Championship. So, there you go. I don't know how you explain that, but that's what we got here tonight. So Willow showed off her power with a shoulder tackle and a low crossbody for 2. Shida fought back with a running knee in the corner, but she got caught by Nightingale, who tried a standing switch but got sent to the floor. And Shida met her with a diving crossbody that took us straight into the commercial break. Shida got a 2 count off a suplex coming back from the break. Nightingale came back with an enziguri and a boot of her own. And Willow connected on a spine buster. Both women traded drop kicks off the middle rope. Shida got cut off in the corner. Nightingale wanted an avalanche Death Valley driver, but it was Shida who got her with an avalanche Falcon Arrow. And Nightingale kicked out at 1. Oh, thank you. That's right. Nick Grosso mentioned she also lost to Chris Statlander. That's right. I had forgotten about that. Well, apparently that earns you a Women's World Championship match on this show. Well, I guess, you know what? I guess Shida is a fighting champion, right? They mentioned on commentary she's had, I forgot, 3 title defenses in the last 2 weeks or something like that. At At least we have people who actually defend their championships here on this show. I guess that's a plus, but the logic behind it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So Nightingale wanted a Dr. Bomb. Shida turned it into a Hurricane Rana. They traded pin attempts until Shida popped up, hit a knee strike, and then the Katana for the victory. I enjoyed the match, I think, more than the crowd did. The crowd really didn't seem to be responsive to what these women were doing in the ring. They didn't seem all that excited about this. I don't know why, but maybe it's the fact that they didn't really build this match up and they just sort of threw it out there. Maybe that had something to do with it. But I thought the work was solid. After the match was over, Shida and Willow, they shook hands until Timeless Tony Storm came out. One of my favorite parts of the show still is Timeless Tony Storm. Even on a night where Dynamite, frankly, is not all that good, Timeless Tony Storm always puts a smile on my face. And the screen goes black and white. She has her new butler with her. He's no longer Luther. Dr. Luther is no more. Now he's Luther. Lutha. That's how he's listed on their roster page. He's Luther. So Luther comes out. He tried to present Shida with a shoe, and Shida knocked it away. She smacked the shoe away, and then she decked Tony, who was on stage. She was sitting down. I don't know what she was doing. She was posing, and she's sitting on her ass. Doesn't see Shida coming in with the knee strike, and she gets blasted. By the way, I don't know if you saw Collision on Saturday. I think it was Collision. If you saw Collision on Saturday, it had to be Collision because Tony Schiavone is the lead announcer now on Collision. They basically told Kevin Kelly, okay, you can fuck right off and slide over to your left. So Schiavone now is back doing play-by-play, the main voice for the first time since the Nitro days. Tony Storm comes out. It was actually after Shida's match, I believe. And she jumps on the announce desk. She lays down on the announce desk, and she's got an orange in her hand. And she had an orange down her pants, basically by her ass. But it was like deep in there. So she reaches into her, and this is from fan cam video, that you couldn't see this part on television because they were shooting it from her front. But of course, there's always somebody in the crowd with a fucking smartphone. And you can see she basically like reaches into her whatever it was that she was wearing, like she's going to scratch her ass or something. There's like a giant ball, though, in her ass. And she pulls it out, and it's an orange. And she hands the orange to Tony Schiavone. And he took the orange. Now, I guarantee you, if that orange ended up going into the crowd, that orange within 25 minutes would have been on fucking eBay selling for about $7,000. You put that on eBay, you don't think you put a caption up there, hey, orange, that was from Tony Storm's ass? That thing is going to sell. They're going to put that in the fucking museum. You're going to have people paying top dollar for that because people are fucking weird, man. People, let me tell you something. Years ago, Britney Spears, a piece of chewed gum from Britney Spears was in a glass case and somebody put it on eBay. Somebody go online and find me. How much did that gum sell for? I'm almost positive it sold for like a ridiculous amount of money. Chewed gum from Britney Spears. So anyway, that's what Tony Storm was doing on Saturday night. So there were no oranges coming out of her ass here tonight. She got blasted by a knee from Shida, and then she went off to the back. But we weren't done yet. This was the segment that would not end. Because then we came back to the ring. And we had Willow was in the ring. The lights went out, actually. When the lights came back on, Julia Hart was in the ring, standing behind Willow Nightingale. Because they have this other little side angle going on where Julia Hart is corrupting Sky Blue. Sky Blue looked like she was heading for a heel turn. Okay, it sold for there you go. Okay, $14,000. A chewed piece of Britney Spears gum sold for $14,000. You could buy a fucking car with that. For a chewed piece of Britney Spears gum. If I chewed a piece of gum right now and put it up on eBay, how much do you think that would go for? You don't think there's some freak out there who wouldn't be willing to spend $48 on a piece of chewed gum from yours truly? Come on. Got a lot of freaks out there. So Julia puts her hand out. She wants a handshake from Willow. Willow looks like she's considering it. Now here comes Sky Blue. And Sky Blue rolls into the ring. And Sky Blue gets between Willow and Julia. Right? gets in between them and gets up in Julia's face. Julia nods, and Sky Blue turns around to face Willow. So now you're thinking, okay, here we come. Here it comes, right? Here comes the heel turn. But then Sky Blue turns back around and she spits mist, blue mist, into Julia's eyes. Julia runs out of the ring. So it was a swerve. Now, my question to you, does that make that a swerve of a swerve? Because, again, it looked like she was going to turn heel, but then she didn't. And then she spat mist in her face instead. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, but to me, this is a Rampage angle that's playing itself out on Dynamite. I haven't been following all the intricacies. I know the basics of this angle. I can't tell you that I am so interested in it that I know all the ins and outs of it. But I know that Sky Blue looked like she was going heel, and now it looks like that's not going to happen. In the back, MJF was sitting on the ground. What kind of gum? Sugar-free. Xylitol gum. So MJF is sitting on the ground in the back. He's staring at his clipboard. And he looks very dejected. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn show up again. Caster had a garbage bag in his hand. You could put this... you could put parts of this fucking show in that garbage bag. You could take that Tony Khan announcement and put that in the garbage bag. And then dump it in the incinerator. He's got a garbage bag in his hand. And he said that they would be Max's partners tonight, since he still hasn't found any. They would be his partners on two conditions. One, he would have to scissor them. What is the deal with this show? You have people pulling oranges out of their ass. You have people going around wanting to scissor each other. Is Russo writing this show? What's going on here? The second condition, he would have to wear what he had in the bag. MJF looked inside the garbage bag. He absolutely refused. Nope, not doing it. Get lost. He said, I got one more group left to ask about being my partner. And he went to turn around. The camera pans over, and we see Jeff Jarrett. And I'm thinking to myself, we had Sting earlier on the show. We have Billy Gunn running around with the Acclaimed in multiple sites. Today was Billy Gunn's 60th birthday, by the way. Okay, it looks great for 60, but he's 60 years old. We have Billy Gunn on this show. We had Paul White come out looking like he can barely fucking move. The camera pans over, and now we have Jeff Jarrett. And Jeff Jarrett is standing there, and he's with Karen Jarrett and Jay Lethal and Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh, and they all have smiles on their faces, and they're ready. We're ready to help out Max, like they're ready to be his partner. And MJF looks down at the garbage bag with a resigned look on his face. So you knew what was coming. Elsewhere, Renee was talking when Roderick Strong and the Kingdom rolled in, or Roddy rolled in. They called Adam Cole back on the phone. This is, this is, what this is now? This is, for me, this is now getting to call Roman Reigns levels. That's what this is getting to now, right? So again, they call Adam Cole. Now they get Adam Cole on the phone. And Roddy, he said, I can't believe that MJF didn't pick us to be his partners tonight. And Cole told him to shut the hell up, and he hung up on him. It sucks that Adam Cole got hurt. It really sucks. And that it fucked up all their plans that they had for whatever they were going to do next with him and MJF and the Kingdom, Roddy. So shit happens. You have to adjust. You have to pivot to something else. And it's part of wrestling, right? People get hurt. But it's a shame, too, because I was enjoying the story, and then he got hurt. And now, honestly, with some of this stuff, it just feels like it's jumped the shark. I'm starting to feel now about this the way I felt about the Bloodline after SummerSlam. It's like, okay, we were going along all well, and then it's like you kind of hit that wall, and it's like, okay, this isn't really fun anymore. Now it just feels forced. Like, before it was, like, pretty funny and entertaining, and now it's like, what are we doing here? Come on. The main event was MJF and his partners, whoever they may be, against Switchblade Jay White, Juice Robinson, and the Guns. It was Bullet Club Gold. Bullet Club Gold came out first, then the Acclaimed. Part of a good chunk of Max Caster's rap got censored. They muted the sound for whatever reason. So I have no idea what he said, nor did I care enough to go back and read his lips. MJF made his entrance. He was decked out head to toe in pink. Nothing wrong with that. Bret Hart made it work for an entire career. Right down to the matching pink scarf. And he had a shirt on that said, "Scissor me." The crowd chanted happy birthday of Billy Gunn, who, as I mentioned, turned 60 years old today. Robinson and Bowens started things off, but Billy and Austin got tagged into the match pretty quick. So we had father and son squaring off here. Austin tripped up his dad, hit a little shake, rattle, and roll until Billy decked both of his kids, and then he told them to suck it, and that might be acceptable in some states. I know they were in Kentucky tonight. I don't know how they do things down there, but that is not appropriate in most states. So Jay White made the tag. He tried to chop Billy Gunn, tried to do a chop battle with him, and he got chopped to the floor. Bullet Club Gold had to go regroup. The Acclaimed and Billy, they wanted MJF to scissor before the commercial, and he refused. So Bullet Club Gold isolated Anthony Bowens during a picture-in-picture until Colton missed a corner splash. Bowens tagged in. He scissored Billy Gunn before hitting the Scissor Me Timbers. MJF was about to join in the scissoring when the Acclaimed and Billy were pulled out of the ring. Caster was getting picked apart until finally Bowens and Billy, they had enough. And for whatever reason, Bryce Remsburg held back MJF and would not allow him to join in. Finally, Caster leapt up for the MJF hot tag. MJF came in. He was a house of fire on Robinson and the Guns. Would not touch Jay White. He couldn't get his hands on him, so they were keeping them apart. But then the chase was on. MJF was going after Jay White, and Austin and Colton tripped him up. Tried for the 310 to Yuma. MJF fought out of it with a DDT, followed by a kangaroo kick. And Jay White snuck in from behind, hit the Blade Runner, and pinned MJF in the middle of the ring as clean as you could possibly expect. I'm not saying there wasn't a lot of shenanigans going on here in this match with the Guns, but hell of a lot cleaner than I expected this finish to be. And I certainly didn't expect MJF to be the one taking the loss. If their team was going to lose, he wasn't the one I was expecting to eat the pinfall here. After the match, the Guns and Juice Robinson brawled with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. They left Jay White alone, holding the big Burberry belt. He was waiting for MJF to get up. He was going to hit him with it. Jay White charged at him, and Max Caster got in the way. He pushed MJF out of harm's way, and he took the bullet in the form of the belt from MJF's championship. It is still his belt, even though Jay White's been the one walking around with it now for weeks. So Caster eats a belt shot. MJF is just staring them down after Bullet Club bails. And Billy Gunn and Bowens are checking on Max Caster. And Caster puts his hand up slowly. He wants the scissor. He wants MJF to scissor him because that was part of the agreement. And he thinks about it and he's like, nah, I'm not doing it. So Billy Gunn gets up in MJF's face and he's screaming at him after everything that he's done for you, Max. You get in there and you scissor this man. Right? So MJF goes to one corner. Billy Gunn goes to the other. We got Caster and Bowens in the other corners. They all come together in the middle of the ring. And they all scissor each other to close out the show. It was a fine main event, nothing more. And Jay White pinning the AEW World Champion, it doesn't bother me as much as I know it bothers some other people. I would not have pinned MJF. I would not have done that. But it doesn't bother me because this is the title match that is your main event for your next pay-per-view. We already know that Jay White is getting a shot at the AEW World Champion. Now what this does is it establishes him as a threat because you can have him go out there and cut promos and he can steal the man's belt. All right, but this is his first time challenging for the World Championship here in this company. And I assume they're going on last. They should fucking go on last, right? It's going to be his first pay-per-view main event for this company. One-on-one against the champion. It establishes him as a threat. Now, it makes it seem kind of obvious that he's not going to win the belt now. But it establishes him and his finishing move as a threat because he hit Blade Runner and MJF did not kick out. Now, if MJF would have kicked out a Blade Runner, that would have been fucking dumb. And I have actually a lot of respect for Baron Corbin. Now, why do I think of Baron Corbin all of a sudden? Because I mentioned finishing moves. Baron Corbin did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, and he talked in there about his conversations with The Undertaker. And when The Undertaker would come down to the PC, he remembers asking a question of him about, like, when do you know that it's time to reinvent yourself? And Undertaker was kind of stumped by this, and he said, that's a great question. And couldn't give him an answer right away, but, he pulled him aside after and gave him all kinds of advice. And one of the pieces of advice that The Undertaker gave him very early on, this is years ago, this is not recently, years ago, in his career was protect your finish. Don't let other people, there'll come a time, but don't let other people kick out of your finish. So if you're wondering why the End of Days is one of the most protected finishing moves in all of wrestling, right? The bro kick and the End of Days, it goes back to the advice that Undertaker gave him early in his career. And he said, even when he wrestled John Cena, I think they had a match at SummerSlam. And he said, Cena came up to him and said, okay, what's the plan? And Corbin said, I only have one request. I don't kick out of your finish, but I ask that you don't kick out of mine. And he said, Cena told him, done. And he didn't want to have Drew McIntyre kick out of it at WrestleMania last year. He fought against it. He fought hard against it, but he was vetoed. And I think Drew McIntyre was still the only person to kick out of that move. So protecting finishers feels like a lost art in wrestling, right? Because people hit their finishers and everybody kicks out a gazillion fucking times. Sometimes it works. We saw Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker kick out of each other's finishes at WrestleMania 25, and it's the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. It just depends on who's involved. It depends on the event. It depends on the circumstances and the situation. Sometimes it works. Other times it's overkill. And I just feel like in wrestling today, it's just complete and total overkill because everybody does it. Well, at what point does it cease being a finishing maneuver if you can't finish off your opponent with it? So I like the fact that he dropped him with Blade Runner. He did not get up. It makes that move a threat to MJF now at Full Gear. And every time he goes for that move, the crowd should be like, oh shit, right? That should be their reaction. Right? If he drops him with that move, that's going to be the story now in this match. The commentators will be talking about it. I mean, it would be commentary malpractice for them not to. Right? The target will be the Blade Runner. And if he hits it, we're going to have a new champion. That's the story they were communicating tonight to the audience. I didn't mind that. It's not a bad story to tell. And look, Jay White now has something to brag about going into the pay-per-view. But at the end of the show, they gave the people the happy moment. They gave them the scissoring, which is what they wanted to see. And so that was fine. But when this show was over, this felt to me, I can't even call it the worst Dynamite of the year. I feel like I've seen worse. What was that chainsaw, the Texas Chainsaw episode, right? That's one example. It was not the worst Dynamite I saw all year, but it will rank, I think, as one of the lowest rated ones of the entire year for me. It's just, I don't know. It just, everything feels cold right now. I'm enjoying the Toni Storm stuff, her gimmick overhaul. I know we're going to get a lot of great matches at Full Gear, including MJF and Jay White. We just had that great match with MJF and Kenny Omega on Saturday. But it just feels very cold right now. Just how it feels. And I hope for their sake now, we're heading into the new year soon and they're adding another pay-per-view in 2024. I'm positive we're going to be getting a lot more new pay-per-views added to the calendar. And I just hope that the stories that they create are compelling enough to keep things interesting and get people paying for the pay-per-views. Because one of my concerns here is that Tony Khan is still the end-all be-all in this company. And I know he talks about having creative assistants and people helping him out and offering ideas and stuff, but he's still the guy. And he's doing everything. And at what point does the guy burn himself out because he just insists on, being the Vince McMahon, frankly. You know, because Vince was always in the center of everything, and so is Tony Khan. If they're going to add more shows, I hope they can keep up with that pace. But as far as tonight, this was not one of my favorite episodes of Dynamite. As far as Rampage on Friday, El Hijo del Vikingo is back, and he is actually going to be part of a three-way match against Komander and Penta, which sounds pretty wild. The Guns take on Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. Marina Shafir takes on Sky Blue. And Trent Beretta takes on Daniel Garcia. And on Collision on Saturday, we know Lance Archer is wrestling Darby Allin. Swerve Strickland wrestles AR Fox. And the Acclaimed will have their 69 days celebration. You're going to 69, because I think is it their 69th day as Trios champions? I believe that might be why it's 69 day. So, if you've got nothing better to do on a Saturday night, you can go ahead and have a 69-day celebration. I will be streaming after Crown Jewel. So that's where my focus will be. My focus will be on Roman Reigns against LA Knight and Seth Rollins against Drew McIntyre. And Bianca Belair against Io Sky, all of which should be very, very good matches. Take a look at the poll for tonight. Yeah, there you go. That's what I expected. We're below the equator line on tonight's show. 48% thumbs up, 52% thumbs down. How often does that happen? Not very often. But with almost 1,000 votes in, we are sub 50% on this episode of Dynamite. People just did not like this show. Did not like this show. People have spoken. Go ahead and speak. Let your voice be heard. Chime in on the Twitter machine and let me know what you thought of this show. I'm sure people are very opinionated in the comments section. I can't see it right now. I can only see the score, but I will read through your comments later when I sign off. Let's take a look at your super chats. Again, the goal for tonight on the likes was 400, so we are already at 430. So we will be the booker in a little bit, but let's see if we can get them up even higher. Lady Fire Panda, thank you for the $20. Fire Panda, always appreciate your help on these streams and your support. With some more tales from the ancient texts. Solomonster once uploaded 400 videos in a year. He claims the time zone difference made it possible as people could get the videos at different times. That is true. That is true. Lakers Pats. When LA Knight wins, Vince pulls a January 6th on WWE headquarters. Oh, come on. Come on now. The guy is the CEO. He doesn't have to break in. You know that. He's got a key. Unfortunately, he's got a key. All he has to do is key in. Unless Ari Emanuel changed the locks. Now that would be fucking funny. If Ari Emanuel changed the locks and Vince is trying to get in, like, damn it! I want this key work! I would laugh. Brother Fluff Salisbury, I just want to wish my friend Brett Stewart the best of luck with his new wrestling podcast, the Wrestling Horror Podcast. Well, that's one way for a cheap plug. Brother Fluff, thank you. And go check out the Wrestling Horror Podcast. Shout out to all of our channel members as well. Appreciate you guys very much. Including Max, Justin with the gifted memberships, all you guys. Thank you very much. El Masse. Who is under MJF's devil mask? What does your gut tell you? My gut doesn't tell me anything. I mean, honestly, I thought it would be Roddy, and I don't know if it's going to end up being Roddy or not. If I had to take a guess, I would still say Roderick Strong. You know, and whenever he's on screen and then we see the devil, it's some manipulation there. So Roddy would have been my guess. I don't really have a better answer for you right now. I don't know what direction he's going in with this, so I'm going to stick with Roddy. Justin G, the devil mask is totally Jungle Jack Perry. Am I right? Oh, you know what? That would be another possible answer. We haven't seen Jungle Jack since. Do we have a name? Last year it was Brawl Out. I guess we'll call it Brawl In. Okay, so ever since Brawl In, we have not seen Jack Perry. Jack Perry is a smaller man. We know the person in the devil mask is a small man. And him and MJF do have history together. You know, those scathing promos and those scathing insults that MJF had about him heading into that Pillars 4-way at Double or Nothing. So it could trace back to that. I'm hoping, actually in a few weeks, Dynamite, I think it is a Thanksgiving week, I think. Dynamite is in Chicago. And I've been saying this now for weeks. I don't want to see Jack Perry back on TV until Dynamite is in Chicago. When they get to Chicago, that is the night that Jack Perry should make his return to television. Him being under the devil mask, it is possible. It is possible. Actually, that was HBKC 83. I think I said it was El Masse, but that was HBKC 83. El Masse with the $28 super chat wants to know, can I say major announcement with the tsunami splash voice? I don't know. I could try.
Tsunami! Okay, yeah. It's working. Major announcement. Tony Khan has a major announcement. It's going to be even more major than the last announcement that we had from Tony Khan. Tony Khan and his major announcement.
Anyway, El Masse, thank you for the $28. Retro KOH. Retro KOH.
What, you like that voice? This is the way that Tony Khan should make his next major announcement on TV. At least then it would give people something to laugh about. Instead of these stupid fucking announcements.
Retro KOH. That's not the only news of pregnancy. My wife is due to give birth next March. Well, congratulations to Retro KOH. That's very cool. That's very cool. Now, do we know if is it a boy or a girl? That's my question to you. Or are you keeping it a secret? Some people want it to be a surprise. I think I would want to know. But thankfully, I don't have that problem. Griga with the $2. New RoboCop game is great. Would recommend. I did hear about that. Isn't something City or I forgot what the name of it is, but I forgot there was a new RoboCop game coming out. Kyle Parker with the $20 super chat says, here is a random $20. Kyle, thank you. I hope you're doing well. After the other night, I'm thinking about you. Thank you, sir. Paul Carpenter with the $5. I think it was corny as hell to make MJF look like Punk to Wardlow. I guess look like Punk or look like a Punk. To Wardlow, yeah, he's a scary guy or whatever, but they made him look really weak as a champion. Yeah, but they've done that at various points during this run. I mean, he'll go from being serious to being goofy from one segment to the next. So, I mean, you could say that about a good chunk of his reign, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's not like that's the first time that's happened. Retro KOH, if you think that's messed up, did you hear about how Amaranth is making beer with her own yeast and selling it? What? Who's Amaranth? I don't even know who that is. Who's Amaranth?
Making beer with her own yeast and selling it? Is that how Jey Uso says it, by the way? Yeast? Yeast. Yeast.
Anyway. Dylan Hensley with the $5. Today we had a Battle Royal class. Oh, the Battle Royale. I do love these updates here. It was really fun, and I learned that you are not supposed to bump until you're one of the last guys in the match. See, I would not have known that. But I do enjoy these updates from Dylan. Dylan, for those who don't know, is training to be a wrestler, and so he's sharing his progress and his knowledge with all of us. So when he hits it big, we'll get the first interview here on the Sound Off, I'm sure. Prince Vegeta 95. I like MJF and all, but I don't think he needed to be the longest reigning AEW champion. I think Kenny Omega should have kept that record. I honestly think that the perfect guy to take it off of him now is Swerve. I just was asked the question the other night about who I thought the first black AEW world champion would be. I think somebody said in the next year or two. I'm not sure we're going to have one in the next year or two, but I think he said Swerve, Starks, and he may have named somebody else. And I said I think it would be Swerve. I think Swerve has the best chance of being that guy and being a world champion, because the guy can go. We know that, and I think he could absolutely carry that title at some point. I just don't see. I don't see his path in the next 6 or 9 months, but beyond that, in the latter part of 2024, could I see Swerve getting a run as the AEW World Champion? I could see that, sure. Just imagine the dance that Nana would do if he wins the AEW World title. Can't wait for that, though, man. I can't wait for that. Swerve, Mike Bailey, House of Glory. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Solomonster does not watch anime, so his pronunciations crack me up. What anime? Oh, is that an anime name? Let me go back here. Look. Amouranth. Amaranth. Is that not how it's pronounced? I mean, come on. Most people would look at that and pronounce it that way. At least I call anime anime. The first time I saw anime, I thought it was I called it anime. And I remember the first time I ever said that, somebody looked at me and I thought I thought I had a third eye in the middle of my head the way they looked at me. I go, what is that? What is this anime? They go, it's not anime, it's anime. But the first time I heard Wale, I said it on the podcast, in fact, I said whale. Man, I heard Whale's new music until I eventually heard from Wale. I was like, okay, all right, I got it. Magician Sapphire with the $10. 3 things Tony Khan needs to start doing. Number 1, hire a booking team for his shows. So now I'm being told that it's not Amaranth that is anime, it's Vegeta. Well, then what the hell is Amaranth? I still don't know what Amaranth is. So they were talking about Prince Vegeta. Vegeta is not Vegeta. So what is it then? How is it pronounced? School me. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. Okay, Vegeta. Okay. All right. So Prince Vegeta 95. Thank you for the super chat. You happy now? Vegeta. Magician Sapphire continues. Things that Tony Khan needs to be doing. Heat up Ring of Honor while keeping its content. I assume he's saying off of AEW. And stop with the important announcements. He needs a wake-up call. He looks like he just woke up. Did you see that? He had bedhead. Like he just rolled out of bed when he made that announcement. Took a nap. The Juliet 316. Congrats to World Series champions, the Texas Rangers. Okay, well that spoils the World Series for me. Thank you. I'm just kidding. But I did not know that. So congrats to the Texas Rangers. There you go. The Real CS02. Shout out to Nightwand, who just subscribed. The Real CS02. Tony Khan's big announcements are what Raw Legends is to WWE. Nothing but a cheap way to get more people to tune in. But honestly, it doesn't work anymore. The reason it doesn't work anymore is because the announcements are shit. That's why it doesn't work. The next time he announces a big announcement after tonight, you think people are going to care? You think people are going to tune in for that? That's the problem when you hype something up and you have an announcement like that that goes over like a fart in church. That's what happens. That's the reaction you're going to get. Jazz Jackrabbit. I'm buying into the Edge and Christian program. Thoughts on this name for when Copeland and Christian reunite? CNC Wrestling Factory. Gonna make your mom sweat. Well, I'll give you points for creativity. I don't know if that's a good name for them. That is a very creative, very clever name. And I fear that only 90s babies or 80s babies will actually get that joke. Rojo Bear. Jungle Boy is a waste of TV time. Jungle Boy is, but Jack Perry. That's different though. Jack Perry, man. Hollywood Jack Perry. Come on, man. Gotta give Hollywood Jack Perry a chance. We have got Abu Sika with the $1.99. MJF wrestling like a Wan Swabu is beyond me. LAEW. Okay, somebody type that into Google. What is a Wan Swabu? Abu Sika, thank you for the $1.99. I just learned a new word. Now I'm curious what it means. Jeremy Thunderstrikes. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Tsunami!
I just realized they were all paused.
The tsunami splash!
The Tsunami Splash. God damn it. I paused them. I forgot to unpause. Now they're going to be coming in hot and heavy here. That Tsunami was waiting in there for like 30 minutes probably. I'm sorry. All right, well, they're coming in now. All the super chats are going to be coming in. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Sad Honky Tonk Man. No longer the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. You got to put now he's the former longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. Can you imagine if I would have gone off the air with all of the super chats paused? I wonder if then when I came on Friday night for the SmackDown stream, if there would have been a deluge of just fucking Dynamite super chats coming in at the very beginning. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right. Well, again, let me know what One Swabu means. Jeremy Thunderstrikes. Sick right now, but not as sick as I am of these disappointing major announcements. That shit could have been a tweet. Now I'm not gonna believe him anymore. It's the boy who cried wolf. The boy who cried wolf is Tony Khan. Kyle Parker. There's your creepy Jeff Hardy super chat there. So we're working our way through. We're working our way through here. I'll let them catch up. I think, when was the last? Kyle Parker is back here, right? Oh my God. All right, here. We'll try to sync them up with what's on screen. Oh, man. Hey, Luis, thank you, man. Max said it's a Jamaican cactus from the Mario Brothers game. A Jamaican cactus. Oh shit, it says Raw review. That's right. It does say Raw review. How come you didn't tell me that before?
Look, everyone, it's Samoa Bro.
There it is, Prince. It took this long. There's Prince Vegeta, 95. Oh man, hold on a second here. Man, I am all discombobulated here. What is going on? People are gonna tune in thinking, wait a minute, is this a replay from Monday night? What's going on here? I gotta change this now. Hold on. hold on. There we go. All right. Now it's officially the AEW Dynamite review. You happy now? Now it is the Dynamite review. Look at Tony. I feel like I need some of that snow on Tony Khan's desk right there. There he is. There's the snowman. All right. Get my shit. I gotta get my shit together here, man. I gotta get my shit together, or I gotta send myself packing. I mean, I am packing. I'm gonna have to send myself packing. Vegeta. You're still going on about this anime stuff. All right, let's see where we left off here. Steve, yeah, you and me both. We didn't notice. There's CM Punk, girlfriend. There you go. CM Punk. There you go. Look at those lashes. Look at those hoops. I don't even know. I don't even know the last super chat where we left off here because they're still cycling through. All right, where did we leave off here? Jazz. We got Rojo Bear. Night Wand again. Night Wand subscribed after what Night Wand just saw. I'm sure he is now unsubscribed. That's okay. Night Wand, thank you. It's the first time you've seen that super chat, Marcus. I'm surprised. Been there for a while. So does that mean that Prince, the Prince Vegeta character, is he a vegetarian? Is that what it is? He doesn't eat meat? Oh, JM. With the $200 super chat bomb. We're having a party here on the screen. Where Barry Horowitz at? Where is he? Jay White with the $200 super chat bomb. Amazing. Okay, now that had to be where we left off. So I didn't, there we go. There it is. There it is. JM with the $200 super chat. I did not watch Dynamite tonight. With the booking these days, I'm going to need one major announcement and 2 dream matches advertised to tune in. Always happy to watch your reviews instead. You sure about that? I'm not so sure after tonight. You're the man. Don't Tony Khan be the booker tonight. Then again, your women's match will be random as well. That's right. We still got to get to be the booker. Oh, man. Hey, JM, man, thank you for that $200 bomb, man. That made my night right there. We have got a first time ever super chat from, oh, man. Zivostrin. Is that what it is? Zivostrin? I hope it's Zivostrin. Tolengren. No. No. No, 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 no. 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 Oh, man. He says Vegeta is is pronounced Vegeta. Okay. Vegeta. I feel like I'm doing Rosetta Stone here. I'm doing Duolingo here live on the stream. Vegeta. Thank you very much, though, for the $5. Thank you. Luis with the $5 super chat. Tony Khan needs to shut up when it comes to these big announcements. Arcana Knight Joker is not impressed. Yeah, Zivostrin, your first super chat was pre-moded by well, who was that? Who dropped that? Was that JM? Might have been JM. Yeah, it was JM. I think it was JM. Well, JM, he dropped the $200 bomb. I can excuse him. I'm gonna cut him some slack. You take it up with him. Don't blame me. Luis, Arcana Knight Joker. What the fuck? I mean, what are we talking about here? You always have the obscure references. You never tell me who it is you're talking about. Ed Swoggle. Vegeta equals fajita. What am I, fucking moron now? You got to spell things out for me? I got it. Vegeta. I got it. Vegeta. But don't pronounce the J like an H. Don't pronounce the J like... Yeah, I kind of got that. I know how to say fajita. Maroa 12004. AEW adding more pay-per-views have positively affected the product, especially their focus on storylines. You agree or disagree with that statement, and why? I honestly don't know if you could attribute that to there being more pay-per-views or not. I think that we are getting more stories on the show. Whether or not those stories are resonating with people is a whole other conversation. But there is a point, I think, where you have too many shows. I don't think they need one show every month. I have no issue with them adding more shows, but I think 6 to 8 is the sweet spot. I don't think they need 12. But that's probably where they're going. It's probably where they're going to be headed. If they ever go on Max, people won't have to pay $50 for every show. They can have as many shows as they want to. But I think... well, I lost my train of thought now. Thanks, JM. JM with the $25. Pause, super chats, raw review, slide. All that's missing is Bree mode, and well, I could always count on you. Thank you, JM. Retro KOH, Prince Vegeta from Dragon Ball. Also, it's Dragon Ball. I thought it was a Pokemon. What? There's too many things going on here. We have Dragon Ball, we have Pokemon, we have anime. We have that woman's name that you still haven't told me who that is. That person I mentioned before. Okay, so this person from Dragon Ball. All the people of his race are named after vegetable puns. Aside from that, there is no relation to vegetables. Okay, so they're not vegetarian. So then what are some of the other vegetable pun names? Is there somebody named after a turnip? Tomato? Cucumber? What are some of the other names? JM says, did you call me Jay White? Did I? I may have. I don't know. Another Bree mode for you. I am a much better promo than him. Did I call you Jay White? You should be honored if I call you Jay White. And Wapatapa, Wardlow, like we give a fuck. Wapatapa, thank you for the $1.99. Thank you, sir. I don't know what the fuck that was, but that was a very interesting super chat segment there. You know what? I think I did call JM Jay White, but that's okay. Because Jay White pinned the AEW World Champion tonight, so you should take that as a badge of honor. Look at him. Look in the artwork there. Doesn't that title look good on him? Come on. That could be your next world champion right there. That could be your next world champion. Don't argue. If I call you Jay White, you should be proud of that. Nothing to be ashamed of. All right, let's be the booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the booker.
I don't know how this turned into an anime stream, but let's book some matches and then we'll get back to your super chats and your questions here, if there are any more. This stream is on par with tonight's Dynamite. That's bullshit. This stream is far more entertaining than Dynamite tonight. How dare you? How dare you? All right, be the booker. There's no way we can top what we did the other night, but we can try. We begin with Cash Wheeler. Mr. Conceal and Carry himself, everybody. Cash Wheeler. One of the true members of the Bang Bang Gang. Is up first here and be the booker. And Cash Wheeler, firing on all cylinders, will go one-on-one with The Rock. Cash Wheeler and The Rock. I like that match. I don't know. I just like that match. It's a very interesting combination there. The Rock against Cash Wheeler. How do I know? Look, if The Rock is on my show, it's an automatic bell, right? He goes into the main event. I make a lot of money. I sell a lot of tickets. How can I give that a buzzer? Come on. Use your head. Here's the former AEW Women's World Champion, Saraya. And Saraya is going to be stepping into the ring. And who will Saraya be wrestling? It will be Bayley. Bayley and Paige. Did Bayley ever wrestle Paige when Paige was still in WWE? I don't remember if they had a match. Bayley and Saraya. And now we get to tag team be the booker. We get Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns. Former, I believe, four-time, Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions. This is already going to be a win, I could tell. This is going to be a bell right here. Motor City Machine Guns taking on The New Day. That'd be a hell of a match. Hell of a match there between the Motor City Machine Guns and The New Day. And that, my friends, is what you call a clean sweep. That is how Be the Booker should be every single week. Ding, ding, ding. All right, who else we got here? We got some more super chats here. A few more. Ed Swoggle says Beerus is also from Dragon Ball. Is that where based Beerus, God of Seduction, got his name? Luis says, what match would you like to see more? Roman Reigns against LA Knight or Roman Reigns against MJF? Roman Reigns against MJF is a match I would like to see. And oh, you're making me do this, aren't you? Prince Vegeta. There we go. With the $1.99. Says Vegeta equals Prince of all Saiyans. Indeed, I agree. Like when they used to say Super Cena would turn into Super Saiyan Cena. Oh, that's right. You know, the New Day did dress up as one of those Dragon Ball characters at WrestleMania one year. Was it Vegeta that they dressed? You know, every time I say his name now, I have to like slowly spell it out. But the New Day's into all that stuff. You know, they're into anime and Nintendo and video games. Up, down, down, all that stuff. We have got another super chat coming in. Who is this? Who is this? Oh, it's our new friend here. Zavostrin with the $5 super chat. The next time you see Lord Frieza on stream, you are going to have to tell him this story about learning to pronounce Vegeta. Keep up the great work. You know, I haven't heard from Lord Frieza in a while, and I hope he's doing okay. I hope he's still tuning in. I have not heard from him, though, in a while. So, say hello if you are listening to this. Lord Frieza, let me know that you're okay. Thank you, and SHOOSH, and thank you, and SHOOSH. Thank you, and SHOOSH, and thank you. JM with the $12 thank you, and SHOOSH super chat. I may go Jay White and steal your winged eagle belt and leave Moxley, who guards your belts, bleeding on my way out. Moxley's already bleeding, so he's already beaten you to the punch. He's already wearing the crimson mask wherever he may be. Man, all you people making fun of me. Karma has a funny way of coming back to bite you on the ass. Just remember that. Just remember that. We got what? Is it what base? What base with the $1.99 coming in? First super chat. No, not first super chat. 20th. 20th super chat. Not first. From what base here on the stream? $1.99 says Cyan equals say yin. It's all right. You're learning. Oh, so it's not Cyan now. It's Saiyan. You know, this anime shit is really pissing me off because every fucking word has some weird pronunciation to it. It doesn't just, like, you can't just look at it on a screen or on a sheet of paper and know how to say it. It's got all these weird pronunciations to it. Every fucking word I get wrong. Fuck anime. Fucking bullshit, man. Put that on a t-shirt. Hey, Rumpelmane, thank you for the $1.99. Nabagunda and all. I don't know what that means. Justin G. Screw it. Time to mention Balzac again. That's right. Good old Balzac. Up in Canada. I learned about Balzac when AEW came through Canada for their tour earlier this summer. Didn't even know there was a Balzac in Canada, but you learn something new every single day. Oh, man. I've declared war on Duolingo. No, but I should get back to Duolingo, though. Should get back to my Spanish lessons on there. I should have an anime stream. Why? It would just be an hour of me getting pissed off and yelling about all the dumb names. That's what it would be. Next to Cody Rhodes, man. Yeet, yeet. M Mills. Holy shit. $45. The Jey Uso super chat. I like it. Stream was all over the place, but I loved it. Thanks for the entertainment. Well, I'm here to entertain you. Sometimes things go off the rails. I guess tonight was one of those nights. But M Mills, thank you for the $45. Very, very kind of you. Thank you very much. Old man yells at the anime cloud. That's right. That's right. Yeah, you know what? Retro, you're right. So here's the thing about Duolingo, if you never used it. It's a very, very good, very useful language learning app that you can download. You can learn all kinds of languages. But the problem is, if you miss a lesson, or frankly, even if you don't miss a lesson, it has a bird that's part of the logo. All right, so think Twitter, right? And that fucking bird will constantly just nag the shit out of you. And just constant reminder after oh, you missed a lesson today. I want to take that bird, I want to skin it alive. So after a while, I just said, fuck this, I'm not using this anymore. Because this bird was really pissing me off. But I got to get back into it. But I got to figure out a way to like turn off the alert so the bird doesn't start annoying me again. An owl. Oh, it's an owl. All right, fuck me. It's an owl. JM with the $4. Fun stream. Take care, brother. Hey, you too, my friend. Thank you for all the love. The 200 bomb from JM, everybody. Let's give him a yes chant because the man deserves it. He deserves it. Have a good night, my friend. I will hopefully be seeing you on Friday. Skywalker. Can you congratulate my Texas Rangers and Mad Max? Well, I guess tonight is a night of celebration for certain people who are very happy that the Texas Rangers won the World Series. And so for you, I will congratulate you.
Congratulations to the Texas Rangers on winning the 2023 World Series. The mighty Gunther salutes you, as does Zombie Solomonster, who is currently out with his girlfriend and his new favorite sexual position. And only those of you who listen to the Sound Off on Sunday will know what I'm talking about, but if you missed the Halloween episode, you need to go back and listen to what Zombie Solomonster said at the beginning of my podcast. It was obscene, and he has been banished until next year.
Based Beerus, God of Seduction. Did you ever watch Aqua Teen Hunger Force? I never watched it. I am aware of it. I know what it is, but no, I never watched it. I know there was a soft drink and there was French fries and there was a burger in there, but I never actually watched the show myself. The Yatagaratsu, I appreciate that offer. Thank you. Well, Andre, the World Series, it's the culmination of the baseball season, and it all builds to this final exciting series of baseball games, one team against the other, and the winning team this year was the Texas Rangers. So I forget, we have international listeners who may not give a shit about baseball or even know what the World Series is, so that is why some people are very happy tonight, and other people not so much. If you're in Arizona, then you're not so happy. Try and pronounce the following names: Killin, Piccolo, Yamcha, Shih Tzu, right? Like the dog. Is there a SmackDown stream on Friday? Yes, there is. Yeah, so I should let you know now. So there is a SmackDown stream on Friday night. Well, actually, wait, it's a tape show, isn't it? It is a tape show. All right, well, as of right now, there'll be a SmackDown stream on Friday. I forgot that it's taped. So, yeah, as of right now, there probably will be a SmackDown stream on Friday. Saturday afternoon, late afternoon, when Crown Jewel is over, I'll be live on YouTube then as well. Then you get a podcast on Sunday, and then back for Raw on the YouTube channel on Monday. So a lot of content coming up. I got you guys covered. So you don't have to worry about that. Did I catch South Park's new special? I did not. No. Skywalker, thank you for that 1999. I should be thanking you. It's very, very kind of you. Juan says, I will go nuclear on you if you play All I Want for Christmas Is You before Thanksgiving. Well, why would I do that? Then I get demonetized. For Mariah Carey, it's not worth it. Hall & Oates one day, maybe. Maybe I'll play Hall & Oates and just say, fuck it. If we get enough super chats, it could cover for the lost ad revenue on that particular video. Then we'll play Hall & Oates. But no,
Look,
I'm not playing Mariah
it's
Carey.
Samoa Bro.
Samoa Bro. Hey, Skywalker again. Thank you. Base Beerus says, I've got chicken in the kitchen. Well, then you better go eat. Not let that chicken go bad. Now you're making me hungry. Don't worry, you're going to be hearing All I Want for Christmas on the radio very soon. You won't have to wait that much longer. Trust me. You're not going to be able to escape it. But does anybody listen to the radio anymore? Honestly? Just realized, like, does anybody even bother listening to FM radio anymore? But you might hear it in the store, though. You might go into like a CVS or a Walgreens or something. You'll probably hear it in there over the PA system. Yeah, all the Christmas music. Yeah, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. But you know what? It is almost Thanksgiving, and every Thanksgiving, I always make sure I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because it is an annual Thanksgiving tradition. It is the quintessential Thanksgiving film. So I will have to make sure, it's like I watch Halloween every Halloween. I will have to watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. John Candy. Didn't he just celebrate a birthday, I think? I miss John Candy. He was taken from the world way too soon. Hey, Magician Sapphire coming in late here with a $5 super chat. Says, watch the Tiger Mask W anime. It has Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, Tanahashi, and Okada. I just want to know what that anime is that Cody Rhodes is in. I saw Cody tweeted or quote tweeted a clip a few weeks ago. I guess he's in some kind of anime. They put his character in there and his head exploded. There was a bomb inside of his head and it exploded. I want to know what the name of that anime is. Yeah, Tuesday. I think Tuesday would have been his birthday. You know, John Candy was Canadian, one of Canada's greatest exports. Second only to Bret Hart and Wayne Gretzky was John Candy. The three greatest Canadians of all time right there. Bret Hart, Wayne Gretzky, and John Candy. And maybe put Martin Short on there, and then we'll put Steve Mello at number 5. How about that? Chris Manson has been a channel member, a Sound Off legend for 30 months. 30. Do I think the World's End pay-per-view will be based on MJF's contract situation? Based on it? Maybe. If you mean, if you're talking legitimately, do I think his contract status is up in the air? I don't. I think he's already re-signed. But could they play off of his contract status? I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, he hasn't shut up about the whole bidding war of 2024 thing for the last couple of years. So they probably will. What is noodle pudding? Another name for it is kugel. And I will be having some of it as I do every year on Thanksgiving. I am very much looking forward to having some noodle pudding. If you ever wanted to know what noodle pudding is, I have posted the picture on my Twitter before, but you'll probably have to go back a year and search for it. So otherwise, I can't help you. That's right. Matthew Perry was Canadian as well. I forgot about that. Matthew Perry was Canadian. Not in the top 5, though. But he did just pass away. Base Beer says, worst comedy. Or worst comedies. Biodome is absolutely terrible. God, I saw Biodome, years ago, whenever it came out. And Magician Sapphire, that's called Captain Laserhawk. It is on Netflix. Okay, so that's the anime where Cody Rhodes' head explodes. Captain Laserhawk. Now you guys know where to go find it. Hey, Zavothrin, thank you, brother. Have yourself a good night. Don't be a stranger. Come on back, although I might have scared a few people away tonight. Hopefully not. Luis coming in with a $5 super chat. Hey, Luis, look at that. Luis has the yellow. He's got the gold skull. I didn't realize that. Luis is one of the OGs here on the channel. He's got the gold skull next to his name. Says FM radio here in Los Angeles country, or Los Angeles County. It's big enough. California is big enough to be its own country. Los Angeles County is way more dead than Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, and Taylor Swift's combined career. Taylor Swift? Her career is dead? Luis, you need to get out more, brother. Every fucking NFL game, they won't shut up about her. I think Tyler Swift. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. I swear there's nothing in this mug that would make me this way. Taylor Swift is doing just fine. I think her career is going just fine. Retro KOH, if you do another Sound Of Gamer, play Fear and Hunger, but make sure to play it censored. I don't know what it's about. I'll have to look into that. Fear and Hunger. I've not heard of that. Oh, man. Justin G says, when the Chiefs lost to the Broncos, they played Tay-Tay. That was pain. Hey, look, it's the Quad Squad. There they are. There's the super chat. Didn't she literally just become a billionaire? Taylor Swift? Wouldn't surprise me. Groovy Goose in the chat. There you are. Haven't seen you all night. All right, well, this has been a very interesting stream. I tell you what, I was way more entertained talking to you guys and hanging out with you than I was this fucking AEW show tonight. So, thank you for that. Have we hit a new low here or a new high? I'm not sure. Some people watching this might think I'm high, but I think we may have hit a new low. Oh, this Brett Brickfist Broad is with us. This is fun. I normally have work on Thursdays and can't stay up to enjoy this. See what you're missing out on? See all the insanity you're missing out on here? Well, we'll try to replicate this on Friday. I forgot that SmackDown is a taped show, man. That kind of takes the piss out of it, but probably be back here with you on Friday. I'm not even sure what the card looks like. And then again, Crown Jewel, which reminds me, I got to talk to Steve about that. But Crown Jewel coming up on Saturday. So hopefully you guys will be here with me. Do I like the Gremlins films? There are 3 Breaking Bad actors in both films. Well, I don't know who the Breaking Bad actors are, but yeah, I saw all 3 Gremlins movies. I enjoyed them all. I watched them when I was younger. I know Hulk Hogan was in the second one with his amazing acting ability. Sitting in a movie theater, right? The popcorn in his hand. I think he was wearing the Winged Eagle belt, right? He was all dressed up in his Hogan gear. I think he had the belt on. I got Gizmo. I have a Gizmo doll from many years ago. Gizmo's up in the closet somewhere, I think. So yes, I was a fan of the Gremlins. Surprised they haven't rebooted that franchise like they reboot every other thing in Hollywood. Base Beer says, Daddy, would you like some Okay, this is getting very weird now. Daddy, would you like some sausage? I don't know what that's in reference to, but I think on that note, I'm going to get out of here because this is getting very weird now. So until next time, I'll see you on Friday. Be well. Stay safe. Thank you for all the super chats, even the anime ones. And I'm still looking at all these messages in the chat. They're actually going to reboot the Gremlins? I hope not. I hope not. KGB. This stream is giving me the Jay and Cody press conference vibes. You know what? That's actually a great analogy. I think you're right. Who does that make me, though? Cody or Jay? Probably Cody, right? Do you feel him, sir? Think I'm more of a Cody guy than Jay? Retro says, victory for Vegeta. There you go. Okay. Or maybe MJ Uso. I don't know. I'll see you guys on Friday. Look at this. We are so close to 500 likes. Get up your ass, you lazy bums. Hit that thumbs up. I know you got it in you.